Okay, I'm gonna make a brief video right now because I have to go do some shopping before my store closes at 7. So this is about Fox News and the leftist, um, the leftist propaganda campaign that's gone on for decades that Fox News is too right-wing to trust, and that's fallen apart. Um, Let me just say that I don't like Fox News. I don't like it as a source necessarily because I do think that they have a few um, personalities on their channel that really don't do justice to whatever topic they have. For example, Sean Hannity, I've always thought he's a little too up Reagan's ass. He's always saying I'm a Reagan Republican and whatever. He's too flamboyant about it. It's almost as if he's all about Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan, I'm sorry to tell you, was a president of the 1980s, and we've moved about 30 years past Ronald Reagan. It's time to really start talking about the truth. I don't think Ronald Reagan was the conservative that people portrayed him to be. I think that, in fact, we'd have to go much further back to find a person that stood up for free markets in a way that Ronald Reagan claimed to. But on the other hand, there's been this long war waged by the progressive media, by President Obama, by other liberal establishments, James Carville. They've always said that Fox News lies, that it's a right-wing propaganda network. Let's analyze that for a second. Of all the cable channels, you have one news channel that appears to be standing up for conservatism, and they have a problem with that, and they see that as a threat, and in some cases they've sought to muzzle Fox News, including with the James Rosen investigation. They've also had calls to ban Fox News. I could look them up and put them on there. The liberal free speech persecution movement has been largely centered around networks like Fox News. The only other media establishment that the liberals hate more than Fox News is conservative radio, like the Salem Radio Network, but that includes Fox News Radio. That includes a lot of these radio networks that are heard around the country, that they feature conservative talk show hosts. And frankly, I don't understand why they feel so threatened. The real reason is that they know that a lot of senior citizens and a lot of interested voters do tune in. It jibes with what their worldview is. It informs them in a way that liberal radio does not. Okay, liberal talk radio has been a failure for many years. It's more of an echo chamber for views of the same type of people. I'm not saying that there isn't good alternative liberal radio. I mean, there's always been college radio stations that feature real far left perspectives. Air America for a while, I'm not saying I was a fan of Air America, but they did offer a real liberal perspective. But Fox News has been the focal point for as far back as its inception in the mid-90s of liberal criticism and this belief that we can have our opinions and we can form the news around our opinions, but you can't. You can't stand up for viewpoints that are contrary to ours. It doesn't matter that Fox News has a number of correspondents that were, in fact, or still are liberal. You have Chris Wallace is by no means a conservative. He's a registered Democrat. The fact is that I think that if he did not live in Washington, D.C. and work there, he would be non-registered. He would be registered probably as an independent. Okay, but he stated that in order to succeed in Washington, D.C. as a political reporter, you have to be a registered Democrat. That I've met other people here in the community, lawyers, that say it's a parallel issue. It's not related to journalism, but they say in order to be able to have access to the courts, to have access to be by access I mean access to people's offices and communication with them, you have to project sometimes either a very, very moderate independent viewpoint or even a democratic viewpoint. Okay, and it's really a show of how in the liberal world there is no tolerance of different viewpoints and different affiliations even. And I'm not a person who supports affiliations. I oppose affiliating with the Republican Party. I oppose affiliating with a lot of the mainstream Jewish organizations, whether it's the leftist ones like the ADL, which has become leftist, or the right-wing ones like AIPAC. I oppose affiliation with organizations that claim to bundle people's opinions together and represent them. I think people should just represent themselves and fuck all this symbolism and whatever. I don't need anybody's logo to define me. I can make my own logo. That's my opinion. It doesn't matter if nobody follows me, because I think that people should follow their own model. Now, if people do want to agree with what I say and you know, give their support, I'm more than happy to discuss it with them. But the problem is with Fox News is that for years, and I don't think that, I'm not a fan of Fox News by any means. I think that their quality has declined for several years. I do think Bill O'Reilly has a good show. I don't think he has a great show anymore. His show was much better probably at the beginning of Obama's term, and it just gradually became, you know, just more of the same. It doesn't really renew anything. It's gone through its own share of scandals. He's not a clean person himself. Okay, I think he's a good author. I don't think he, you know, I'm not going to go and lionize these people. So why am I saying that Fox News, the war against Fox News, has been proven to be a complete, utter lie? The reason is, it's very simple. If you claim that Fox News is a hack outfit that promotes right-wing propaganda, then you would extend that label to all of its journalists. And therefore, any journalist that worked for Fox News would be discredited as a journalist among other media outlets, and they would not be able to come in and have the same platform or a similar platform, a similar profiled TV show, if I may express it that way. That means that if I had the same show on Fox News, if Fox News was really this right-wing propaganda arm, you couldn't do the same show or a show of a similar you know, a similar format with the same person on another news network. But it's already happening. Megyn Kelly has been accepted to work at NBC for months now. Greta Van Susteren left Fox News. I was never a fan of Greta Van Susteren on Fox News. For a while after she left, she was doing this more Periscope type thing where she was going just raw camera in her home and saying things that she thought. It was actually much better than her show on Fox News. That's why I'm telling you that Fox News is not, to me, any paragon of journalistic integrity. I think there's plenty of flaws with Fox News, but to claim that they are right-wing propaganda today, when NBC is hiring their alumni, their former journalists, who by the way are actually past their prime, with all due respect to Greta, with all due respect to Megyn Kelly, who shot her career in the foot during the campaign, became the story instead of reporting the story. They're past their prime, and they're past their prime career-wise. I'm saying that they've lost any novelty that they had when they came out, and I'm sorry for them. Look, I think Greta Van Susteren has a chance to come back, and this is not, so you don't misunderstand. I'm not saying this because they're women. I'm saying that Greta Van Susteren, for example, could have a career recovery. I think that Megyn Kelly, on the other hand, she is going to flop like nobody's business on NBC. And it's going to be several years before she can come back. It was the same thing that happened with Tucker Carlson. He had to go through a long hiatus before he could come back. And now he's on Fox News, where as he used to be on I think, Crossfire on CNN, a version of Crossfire at least. This is really an era where we see all the walls are coming down. The mainstream media does not have any more way to block their obvious lack of scruples and lack of standards to the general public. People are rejecting them in numbers that are so far they're unparalleled. Okay, why would they hire Fox News people if for the past decade or so they've been calling Fox News basically a bloody murder or something? That's what they've been doing. Anyway, this is Ramon. I want to hear your reaction to this. Do you think Fox News journalists have improved over the past 10 years? Do you think that Fox News is going to continue being considered the conservative reaction to the mainstream media? Or do you agree with me that conservatism as a movement has moved past Fox News, past cable television? It's more independent people. It's more people that are doing it as a hobby, that are coming up independent of Fox News, and we're going to see a totally new alternative media, which I hope that you'll help me to support. This is Ramon with Bold Like a Leopard, and we'll see you around the bend.